Oh, I'm ready. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started with this evening's Board of Education meeting. Thank you all for being here. Before we begin, I'd like to share with the audience that if you are in need of Spanish translation services, we have Lupita here to assist us.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes. Si alguien necesita servicios de interpretación al español, por favor acérquense. Tengo equipo de interpretación para darles.
Thank you. On behalf of the Board of Education, we'd like to share a reminder regarding the process for public comments during regular board meetings. For each agendized action, discussion, or information-only item, the board will hear from staff, provide an opportunity for public comment, then hold a board discussion and a vote if necessary. Public comment on non-agendized items will be heard during item 6, and public comment on closed session items will be heard during item number 9, before the board adjourns into closed session. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on items on the board's agenda or otherwise within the board's jurisdiction. To help us organize public comment using this system, if you wish to provide public comment, please complete a speaker card located at the entrance to the meeting room and provide it to our executive assistant to the superintendent, Michelle. Speaker cards for public comment will be accepted prior to the calling for the public comment portion of an agenda item. So with that said, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:34 p.m. and would now like to establish a quorum by roll call vote.
Board Clerk Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Jaco Dello.
Yes.
Board Member Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes. Before I start moving through the agenda and the motion to adopt the agenda, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the timber fire and everything that's going on in Big Sur. On behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to extend our sincere gratitude to all of the firefighters, first responders. Also recognize that Matt Glazier is unable to join us this evening because he is in Big Sur supporting the response efforts and working alongside local officials during this very challenging time. So we are wishing him all the best and thinking about him. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge all of the students and staff who have been coming into Carmel Middle School and the district office while schools in Big Sur have been affected by the fire. We're glad you're here, and our thoughts remain with everyone impacted. So thank you to everybody who is continuing to step up and support our neighbors during this time. We just can't thank you enough. So with that said, let's start moving through the meeting agenda, and may I please receive a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
A second.
Board Clerk Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Jaco Dello.
Yes.
Board Member Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes. I'd like to notify the audience that this evening, open session will be audio taped, broadcast, and recorded for the district's YouTube channel. And for this evening, Jake, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Agenda item number 2, reports. These are routine status updates regarding campus activities, meeting schedules, and recent developments from our student board representative, which we are very excited to have us here this evening, our unions, ACT, CSEA, and our superintendent. So this evening, we're going to start with our report from our brand new student representative, Jasmine Jin, and we extend a warm welcome to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jasmine Jin. I'm currently a junior at Carmel High School. I went to Carmel River School, Carmel Middle, and now I'm a Carmel High Schooler. First, I want to thank the board for everything you do for the schools and our community, and I'm incredibly grateful to be here and representing the students of this amazing school district. So school officially started last Thursday, and it's been great getting to see everyone again and getting settled back into the school year. We've had almost a full week of school now, and tomorrow students across the district will have a minimum day, and on Friday we will have a day off because of car week. Starting with Tularcitos, they'll be hosting their back to school night next Wednesday, and they also have a Bobcat family pool party and camp out coming up on August 22nd and 23rd, which should be a really fun opportunity for families. Carmel River School will also be hosting its back to school night next Tuesday. At Carmel Middle School, back to school night will take place on August 27th, giving families an opportunity to meet teachers and get familiar with the year ahead. At Carmel High School, we are getting back into rhythm of the school year and preparing for a lot of exciting things coming up. Our back to school night will take place on August 20th. That same day, we also have our club fair where we get to go around and learn about the clubs we have on campus, including mock trial, model UN, and robotics. We've also been getting ready for the start of football season, our fall sports, and our Powder Puff games. We actually had our first meeting today for anyone interested in participating in Powder Puff. One thing that students are especially grateful for this year is having access for both parking lots for the entire school year. Having the lower lot available has made a huge difference because parking has gotten significantly better and students are no longer struggling nearly to find space, so that's something we really appreciate. We also noticed that one of the water fountains at the high school has been replaced. Students are very appreciative of that improvement and grateful to have better access to updated water fountains and drinking water on campus. Another exciting event coming up is the shoe game against PG on August 28th. Shoe game will begin on August 24th, leading up to the game. What makes this year especially special is that for the first time, the shoe game will be held on the Carmel High School campus because of our new stadium lights. That's never happened before, so we're very excited for that. The current senior class were actually 8th graders when this idea first began, so we owe it to the class of 2023 and their students for attending meetings and advocating for this. So thank you to the class of 2023. Overall, we are very excited to be back. There is already so much happening, and I'm excited to have this opportunity to be here and represent the students, and I can't wait to see what this year brings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. We look forward to working with you and getting to know you better. Appreciate the report out. And we're so excited about the shoe game. At least I am. Sorry. Next, ACT President Bill Schreier.
Good evening, Bill Schreier, President, Association of Carmel Teachers. Welcome, Jasmine. I feel kind of emotional watching you up there because I know Jasmine really well. Jasmine's in my class several times a day because of her involvement in the mock trial team and also as a student. And she is a brilliant student, an elite runner, the best female runner in the school. She's a public speaker extraordinaire who recently won the Rotary Regional Competition and spoke in Las Vegas. She's the first junior elected to the student rep position. As I mentioned, she's a mock trial superstar. She has her own clothing company, and the list goes on. When Jasmine was elected, she asked if I knew that the student rep has a preferential vote. She learned about that by researching her role and responsibilities. One place she looked was the California Ed Code. Here's what the Ed Code says. Section 35012D4A, a pupil member of the governing board of a school district shall have preferential voting rights. So when she asked me, I didn't sugarcoat it. I told her that I did know about that and that it was not something we'd ever permitted in this district, at least not in the 10 years that I've been attending these meetings regularly. I asked Jasmine why she thought the Ed Code required that student reps have preferential votes. Her answer? Because the legislature thought students deserved to have a voice. Do we actually care what students think in this district? Because I hear that said all the time. So I'm asking you to do the right thing. See to it that Jasmine and her successors have the preferential vote the law requires. And this points to a much larger issue currently bedeviling this district, the lack of input into decision-making by all but a few folks at the very top. The irony is that the more the powers that be try to concentrate decision-making at the top, the more organized the Association of Carmel Teachers becomes. With that in mind, let me introduce some of the members of this year's leadership. Some of whom are here. We have Joe Guzzi, Vice President. Nora Ward could not make it. Steve Nocht is not here. We have CHS site reps Joe McCarty and Victoria Deckelman. A CMS site rep Jason Fossler. Our River site rep is Aaron Barkahall. Tularcitos is represented by Karina Stahlcup. Karina's here. Cooper's site rep is here, Ryan Martin. And Carmela's site rep couldn't make it, Talia Elazar. We represent the 200 members of the Certificated Bargaining Unit. Many of our members are also parents of current students or alumni and residents and voters in this district. These 200 members also have about 6,000 collective years of experience teaching the students in the Carmel Unified School District. As we watch the concentration of power and decision-making in the DO, we are motivated to push back because we know that it is not the correct path for our district. It has never been. So let me finish with another provision of the Ed Code, in this case, section 44667. And I quote, "It is the intent of the legislature that the school district governing boards and administrators work with classroom teachers and teacher bargaining units to develop and strengthen procedures that increase teachers' decision-making authority and responsibilities that affect their ability to teach." And it gives some examples. I won't list them all. Evaluation of administrator performance. Design and conduct of staff development programs and policies. School-wide problem solving and program development. Development of procedures to institutionalize teacher involvement in decision-making. Establishment of policies to decentralize district decision-making by providing school site administrators and teachers with greater budget authority, including the allocation of fiscal, personnel, and other resources at the school site. We look forward to seeing that happen this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill. Up next, CSCA with Anna Medina.
Good evening. I just want to welcome everybody back from summer. CSEA, I was able to go to the 100th annual conference this year for CSEA, one of the longest standing unions in California. It was very special to experience that this year. Secondly, I just want to say I got to experience something truly amazing that our district does this year, this way that we don't see very often, but it's the way Cooper just pivoted. I was able to be there the morning that they set up here up at the district office to help support them with the technology and movement. And not only are our teachers amazing to pivot and transition these children, but so are our kids. Our kids are so resilient and they are so happy to continue to come here. And I just want to recognize them and just know that CSEA supports them and our thoughts and our support go to them. I also want to mention for our classified members who are active, we have it's called the Dorothy Bjork Assistance Fund. So if any of our members need anything or if they come to you, please have them reach out to me because they do financial assistance for people in this situation. Just at conference alone, they raised almost $200,000. And this is all donated money. It does not come from any union whatsoever. Chapters donate their money and time for these. So I just want to give that out to Cooper. And again, thank you for the work that you guys do. And again, to Cooper for all of that they're doing for our kids to support them in this time that is very difficult. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening. I want to begin by saying that despite the circumstances our community is currently experiencing, the start of school has been very smooth. The first 2 days went exceptionally well, and our schools continue, with the exception of Captain Cooper in its original and designated location, but in their new location, continue to be calm, focused, and be a welcoming place for our students and our staff. And of course, as you've heard from multiple people this evening, this has not been a typical first week of school. With the timber fire currently burning, In Big Sur, we have to respond to circumstances that have required flexibility, quick decision-making, and a willingness to adjust plans as conditions change, which is frequent and often. Today is only the 5th day of school, and I am incredibly proud of how our district and our community has responded. I would like in particular to recognize our Captain Cooper staff for their flexibility and willingness to roll with it, as I have written in quotes on my paper here. The relocation of Captain Cooper to the district office in the middle school here, you can, if you look around, and I'm sure it's visible on the screen for people watching, you will see Captain Cooper's materials. We had to move them for this evening's meeting, but we will move them back. And the amount of coordination and adjustment so early in the school year has required a tremendous amount of understanding, and we're very grateful for that. So teachers, administrators, classified staff, transportation, maintenance, technology, many, many others have all stepped up to make sure our students and our staff can continue teaching and learning in a safe and supportive environment. I also want to thank our families for their patience and understanding. I think it is not well known that the school district has historically received information and updates at the same time as the general public. So that puts us in a situation where we're all getting the same information at the same time. So we know that families want clear and timely communication, and we recognize that in situations like this, information changes quickly and conditions evolve quickly. But we are working to get information ahead of time. However, the system in the county is not set up that way at this time for any school district. We appreciate your partnership and your trust as we work to communicate what we do know and make decisions with the safety and well-being of our students and staff at the forefront of our decision-making. And most importantly, I really do want to express our sincere gratitude to the first responders and emergency personnel, many of whom are our parents and the spouses of our employees who are working so hard to protect not just Big Sur, but also our little Captain Cooper school and community. We're very grateful for their communication and partnership as we navigate all of these decisions that affect our schools. I will also say that Board President Matt Glazer has sent some comments along. He is, as you heard, unable to be with us this evening. He has asked, however, that I share this information. So this is from Matt Glazer, Board President. I want to take a moment to say thank you to Carmel Unified School District for keeping the children of our community in mind during this fire. I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight. I'm currently behind the road closure in the fire evacuation zone. I did want to make sure I said thank you. Thank you to our teachers and instructional aides who continue to care for kids when circumstances are anything but normal. Thank you to our bus drivers who get our children where they need to go under incredibly challenging circumstances. And thank you to the district office, staff, and unions who are working behind the scenes to keep our schools nimble, responsive, and focused on children. I'm hopeful that as we continue to improve how we respond to emergencies, we keep learning how to be more flexible, more collaborative, and above all, child-focused. Because the children of Big Sur have a lot to teach us about resilience. They know how to adapt. They know how to roll with things. And they know that sometimes the road is closed, the plans change, and you just figure out what comes next. Maybe we should all be a little more like them. On behalf of the Big Sur community, thank you for caring for our children. So I thank you, Matt, and I believe our community thanks you, Matt, for your comments and your remarks. And again, just on behalf of the district, I want to thank everyone, staff, families, first responders, everyone, the entire community for patience, flexibility, and the care that absolutely characterized these first couple of days of this week here, and what we hope will be and continue to be, started out to be at least, a very successful school year.
Thank you so much, Sharon. All right, moving on to agenda item number 3. This is the consent calendar. This is where the board may bundle a number of items and act upon them together in one motion through the use of a consent calendar. Consent agenda items are routine items deemed to be non-controversial for which the board discussion is not anticipated and for which the superintendent recommends approval. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the vote unless any members of the board request specific items to be removed for discussion. So I will now open up to public comment for item number 3, consent calendar. Seeing that there's no public comment, may I please receive a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Board Clerk Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Agenda item number 4, these are our action and discussion items. Agenda item 4A, 2026 Summer School Overview with Lee Canberra and Dr. Steve Gonzalez.
Great, the clicker. All right, good evening. Thank you. Here we go. All right, we're here to talk about the different programs that happened this summer, starting with credit recovery. So this was at Carmel High School. We've been doing it like this the last few years, and this year we had 33 Carmel High students participate in this program. So the reason why we offer this is to allow them to just remain on track for having enough units to be able to graduate. Between those 33 students, they completed 55 semester courses because students worked at their own pace and they could complete up to 2 courses this summer.
So thank you for having me tonight. We had another successful year with the extended school year program. And as you can see, it was at the middle school in the Me Earth location. We have to provide no less than 20 days of extended school year. So by regulations, that's our mandate. And this year we had fewer than 10 students. And as you can see, actually what I can say is right now, we're already planning for this upcoming year because our case manager's already looking at the data to really identify whether or not students, based on their disability, are exhibiting a slow recovery from the break over the summer. So that's, I just want to make that point because it's data-based and they really look at the breaks and how students are coming back from the break in order to make that determination based on the goals in the IEP. And so it is an IEP team decision, and along with the parent, they look at the data, they make that determination whether or not the student qualifies for ESY. So it's not a blanket program, it really is specific criteria that they're looking at. And they had a great program. We had, again, we have around 299 students with IEPs. 22 of the students qualify for ESY, and fewer than 10 actually participated. So the students don't have to, they can make the choice to send their child to ESY. So it's not a mandated program where we require them to attend. They can make that decision whether or not they want their child to participate. So we had a wonderful year. We had a teacher that we contracted with. We did have applications go out, but we did have a teacher that was highly qualified, provided a lot of structure, routine, and engagement, and also made it fun. They went on a field trip to the Point Lobos State Nature Reserve. And so they learned about the habitat and the natural environment around them. They also engaged in financial literacy skills lessons. They planned, they organized, and they had a field trip to the grocery store, and they were able to purchase things that they actually took back to the classroom, and they made wonderful meals that I wanted to eat, but I couldn't. But they brought back the items, they engaged in the lessons, and we had a full staff team as well. We had occupational therapists, physical therapists, and the behavioral team as well. So I can say that we had a successful program and we're already planning for next year.
Okay, so I'll talk a bit about the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program that we do choose to offer here. So we have to provide 30 additional days of something for our unduplicated population of students. And so starting with Captain Cooper, so for the last many years, they always start off the summer with the Around the World Week, and for a school that had 51 students, 30 of them participated in the Around the World Week, and that is put together primarily by some wonderful classified staff at Cooper, and they went to the Monterey Zoo again this year, and that is in partnership with the PTO. They help get them there, get the funding going. We did have summer school for 2 weeks, and we had students working on reading, writing, math, art, and we had some teachers from both River and Tular who asked that they were interested in going down to Cooper. Some of them had never been there before, and I think it's a great opportunity for all of for teachers to get to see what it's like at Captain Cooper, how special it is down there, and just have that different experience. So I was really happy that we had some of our own teachers want to teach summer school there this year. And then we had a new partnership that's with Yogativity. It's a local organization, local business that was actually started by some Carmel families. And so they created this Yogativity program. They work with some schools in South County and Salinas where they provide after-school program. And since one of the women that started this group has lived in Big Sur, she was well aware of what Big Sur was like because, as Sharon knows, we have tried to reach out to some community partners and they all say yes, and then they kind of bail on us at the last minute because it's hard to find staff. And so fortunately, having somebody know Big Sur really well and already have connections there and actually be able to hire people who live there, hire people who went to our schools. It's been a fabulous partnership, and it was the first time that they provided a full day. So they did the after-school portion of summer school, and then they also did a full camp for us for a few weeks. And so I'm excited about what more we can do with Yogativity. As it says, they focus on STEM, yoga, creative arts, and stewardship. They also ran, I want to say, spring break camp for us too that was really successful. And sort of like what we do in Kashawa, they also were willing to incorporate Carmel High students. So we have had a lot of students from the Big Sur area get a lot of community service hours this year because Yogativity is so involved in our community. And so I think that was a huge bonus. So that was first year of that, and we're looking forward to doing more with Yogativity moving forward. And then we did have Kashawa Camp. We moved it to June for a variety of reasons, but trying to also give the sites and the employees and everybody more of a break as much as we could in July. And also, Caton was not available, but he worked with Larissa Nelson. She's now teaching at Tular, and she was willing to step up. She taught summer school last year, and so she worked with Caton, and they created a program. And so they did week 1 with Kashawa. They went on field trips. They got to see Toy Story 5. They went out to Happy Girl Farm, which is out in Kashawa, and Sharon and Mary got to go visit this year, which was very exciting because it's hard to find. They're the family that owns Happy Girl Kitchen in Pacific Grove. So they got to go out there. And then for week 2, we kept going with the pool, with the swim week. And some of the Captain Cooper students came to that as we typically do as well. And that's a great partnership because the Carmel Valley Community Youth Center pool, Kristen Miranda, works with getting a grant. So that is the swim lessons are fully paid for by the grant that she's able to find every year. So some of our other community partners, we've tried hard to figure out a way to work with Me Earth, and just for a variety of reasons, it's difficult. But what was great this year is they did offer scholarships for some of their camps that went out to our the UPP students to those families. So some of those families got to use those scholarships. So that was really, really exciting. Some of the families were just really happy that they got to do one of those camps. So that was an exciting new partnership that we had. Carmel Youth Center. We are now partnering with them to help us with these 30 days. We were using their facilities or having our students sign up for their camps during the intersessions during like October break, February break, spring break. But now we're going to focus more on summer. And so we were able to use them and where we invited River students to attend their camps. So again, great for them because they are trying to build back up to how they were. And so it's been nice connecting with them. And that was really helpful to be able to have River students get to use the youth center because that's a great facility. And we partnered with the YMCA again. So that's the Tular students were invited to go to YMCA camp at Tular this summer. And I already mentioned Yogativity and the Carmel Valley Pool. And then, of course, working with Friends of Kashawa to help support the field trips and everything else that goes on out in Kashawa. So, as I mentioned, great staff. We're so fortunate that our own staff is willing to work all of these summer programs. And we did really try hard by like coordinating with nutrition services, transportation. We actually had 2 people from nutrition services work beyond just food service. We had a couple work doing childcare. They asked, they wanted to be more involved in that. And it was actually really helpful, I think, for everybody because one of the most stressful parts of summer is the nutrition and making sure that it's crazy how detailed that needs to be. So it was really nice having some experts who knew exactly what to do so that the staff and the teachers didn't have to worry about that. So that was really great. And same with transportation. We had a bus driver, Sean Kramer. He lives in Kashawa, so he not only drove the bus on the Kashawa field trips, but he also participated as a child care assistant as well. So it's really great having all of these. These are faces that our students see throughout the year, and getting to see these people in the summer too was really great. As I mentioned, lots of volunteer and leadership opportunities for our students. We've always had a great program in Kashawa, and I'm really hoping that we can build up those same leadership and volunteer opportunities at Cooper with Yogativity. So we'll continue working with these community partners to just enhance all of the opportunities for all of our students. And as I mentioned, more opportunity for Yogativity in Big Sur and maybe more. Thank you.
Thank you for an excellent presentation. I'll now open up to public comment for this agenda item 4A. Do we have any we do not have any public comment. So we'll move down the line with board discussion and comments, starting with you, Jake.
Oh.
I know.
I don't have any comments. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. This is the third time I've seen this presentation, and each year this program gets more robust and brings in more people from the community to just build upon it to service our students. Thank you guys for your hard work.
Yes, I'm really happy to see that we're offering this summer school program, and the partnerships are growing, which is awesome. Because I know back in the day it was kind of hard to develop relationships and keep it going. I do have a question for Steve, I think. You had mentioned during your presentation that we contract out for the teacher, for the IEP.
For the instructor?
Instructor, yes. So do we not have a teacher in-house at CUSD that could?
Yeah, every year we post the position, and so if we don't get a posting and if our timeline is really short and where we have to start providing the ESY program and the instruction, we do look at non-public agencies to help us support the program.
And so when we post it, everyone's aware of it. It's not, sometimes you post things and it's like you don't even know it's available, or even to go find it,
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
so it's well publicized. Okay. And then just another last quick question. I noticed the program cost for the TK6 is 141, and then the CHS credit recovery program is 28,000. But for the estimated cost for the extended program, it says excluding contracted related service 12,000. So how much is the contracted service? Does that make sense? Because it gives one number, but not the other.
Yeah, I would have to.
I think, well, not seeing the way it's worded is
Yeah.
probably harder for Dr.
Okay.
Gonzalez to respond to. But I think what is, so related services in special education are the, you can talk about related services, but the $12,000 are for related services, which are part of an IEP, like physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language, all those kinds of services are referred to as
Yeah.
related
Which
services.
comes from this
And
sped
that
budget.
comes, right.
Mhm. Yeah, so, but it says excluding contracted related services is, so is there another part of the budget?
Do you want to talk about where the related services come from?
Yeah, so we have occupational therapy, so
Mhm.
that would be one area where we're contracting with, which we did this year.
Okay,
And then there's also we also contracted for the certificated instructors, so the individual who was providing the instruction and the guidance for the program in and itself, so that was another part of the contract. And then we also contract with MCOE for any students who might need physical therapy. We didn't have a whole lot.
okay,
And then for speech and language therapy, we had our internal staff. was
Internal
able to
staff.
provide
okay.
those
I'm just
services.
trying to balance what we contract out and what we do
Yeah,
in-house.
yeah. And then there's also behavioral support as well. And so part of that was internal, and then some of that was also contracted.
Okay, and funding for all this is either the sped budget, general fund, grants, is it?
Special education.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for my questions. Thank you very much for all your hard work over summer, because I know everyone thinks teachers get off in the summer. Everyone's off
I got it.
on the summer, but you guys keep working, and I let everybody know when I'm out and about. They're like, oh, school's out. I'm like, kind of. Teachers are still working, you know, and DO is still working, so thank you for working throughout the year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rita. Jasmine, do you have any questions?
Just wanted to say thank you. I was actually at Me Earth this summer with some classmates, and we got to see some of these programs going on. So that was pretty great. We're all really grateful for the volunteer opportunities. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for an excellent presentation. This is one of our favorites that we receive every year. And Lee, I remember these presentations from way back when they were lean and mean. So I can't believe how robust and strong the program is, and it just keeps getting better and better. And the Yogativity partnership, I mean, what a find. I know the struggle has been real to find partners that not only were accessible, but as we mentioned, followed through with their commitments and everything. So that's amazing. I hope they continue to be a great partner. And thank you also for providing the community with the list of partners that you guys work with. I think it just goes to show how much better we are when we work together as a community and really build up these programs for our students. I just think it's really important. So thank you both for everything that you're doing. And thanks to all the teachers and staff that helped to support these programs over the summer. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move along to agenda item 4B. This is our Information Technology Department update for the 2026-2027 school year with Director of Information Technology Manny Carrera and Network Manager Victoria Martin. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, board members and Superintendent Ofek. Victoria and I are here tonight to give you an update on the Information Technology Department, where we've been over the past 2 years and where we are headed next. Much of the most important work that we do is designed to be invisible. When the network is up, systems are available, and staff can do their jobs without thinking about technology, that's usually a pretty good day for us. But because that work is invisible, it's worth pausing once in a while to connect the pieces and show how they fit together. That's what we would like to do tonight, walk you through how this work supports reliability, security, and ultimately supports our students. When most people think about IT, they think about computers, Wi-Fi, and help desk tickets. These are certainly part of it, but technology today is interconnected with every department and every site across the district. When we decide to put where our time and resources should go, we should look at these decisions through three lenses. One is reliability. Technology that's there every day at every site without staff having to think about it. Two, security, protecting student and staff information and protecting the district's ability to operate. Finally, student support. The reminder that technology is never the goal in and of itself. The goal is supporting learning, safety, and the connections that happen across our campuses. All three of these depend on one thing, a solid foundation. So that's where I'd like to start. For a number of years, we've been in a reactive posture with respect to our network infrastructure. Several major systems were aging or approaching the end of their supported life, and we experienced district-wide outages in late 2024 and early 2025 that were tied to our previous network environment. At a certain point, continuing to patch around these risky systems stops to make sense. So in 2025, the focus of the IT department shifted to rebuilding the foundation of our infrastructure rather than to keep working around it. That meant that we installed a new data center in conjunction with a disaster recovery site at the Monterey County Office of Education so that our critical systems could be restored rapidly rather than rebuilt from scratch in the event of an urgent cybersecurity issue. We also installed new core network switches at all of our sites to ensure that the district has a modern network backbone. Finally, we partnered with AT&T to build a new wide area network at no cost to the district to remove the equipment that was a single point of failure during the network outages of 2024 and 2025. Each of these is a significant project on its own, but the real value is how they all work together. We now have a modern, supportable environment with more capacity between sites and a disaster recovery site that is functional in case, which will help us to recover in case something significant happens. And once the backbone has been rebuilt, the natural next question is, what about everything that connects to this backbone?
As Manny mentioned, it no longer makes sense to work around the problems with our infrastructure. So with this in mind, we completed our E-rate cabling project in July. This project leveraged USAC funding to cover 50% of the total project costs. The project addressed cabling issues in 21 of our most dire networking locations across 4 sites, including District Office, Carmel High School, Carmel Middle School, and Tularcitos. I'd like to bring your attention to the pictures on the left, labeled before. In this picture, you can see one of our server racks and the cabling challenges that we encountered. Here, the network cables are obscuring our network equipment, obstructing network maintenance, and preventing troubleshooting. In the pictures on the right, you see the same server rack, except after our E-rate cabling project. Here, you can see that those network cables have been replaced with new patch cables, offering faster network speeds, and wire management tracks have been installed to organize the cables to make network maintenance and troubleshooting possible. In addition to our E-rate cabling project, we have made significant progress with our cybersecurity systems. Last August, we kicked off our multi-factor authentication, or MFA project, to enroll staff accounts with a second form of authentication. By the end of last school year, we had reached 85% completion, and we aim to reach 100% completion by the end of this school year. We continue to use our email security service, which protects us from malicious emails and has protected us from over 45,000 attacks in this last year alone. We continue to use our endpoint protection for EDR and MDR on all of our systems and endpoint devices. This provides us with 24/7 monitoring and protection. We have also implemented the best practice of a 3-2-1 backup strategy that aligns with cybersecurity frameworks. The 3-2-1 backup strategy means that we have 3 copies of our data with 2 different types, and at least 1 is off-site. We also have immutable backups that are designed specifically to protect us from ransomware attacks. The next cybersecurity initiative that is on the horizon is going to be our firewall replacement.
Of course, all of this back-end investment only matters if people feel the benefit of it. The most visible example this year was the teacher device refresh. We had machines that had aged well past the point of serving staff well, and we replaced them with equipment that matches the work that we're asking teachers and staff to do. We've also improved how we manage student devices across the district, how they're deployed, collected, repaired, inventoried, and then redeployed so that the process is consistent at every school and the students feel excellent customer service from our department. And the network work we just described shows up in the classroom too. We've increased our wireless capacity with brand new wireless access points in every location at the district, which means fewer disruption and less instructional time lost to technology getting in the way. This is where infrastructure becomes tangible for students and staff. Some of the most meaningful work this year was directly visible to students. At Carmel High School, Carmel Middle School, and Carmel Valley High School, we installed vape detection sensors at those locations. One site administrator told me that the vape sensors had, quote, transformed their ability to address vaping issues on their campus. The cell phone policy was another significant effort, and what I'd like to highlight there is the process. Students, families, certificated staff, and classified staff all provided input before the policy came before this board, and it was adopted ahead of the state deadline. At Carmel High School, huddle cameras let families watch athletic events that they can't attend in person and give coaches and student athletes footage that they can use for development and training. This summer, we built a dedicated esports network so that growing programs at Carmel High School and Carmel Middle School have the performance that they need without creating any risk for our core district systems. These all look like very different projects, but they share one idea: technology in the service of supporting our students. There's another side of this work that is much less visible: the applications behind everything that we do. The IT department currently supports more than 130 instructional and operational applications across the district. Each one carries a cost, support requirements, and data privacy considerations. That's why we reestablished the technology committee with site and department representation meeting on a regular cycle. We don't want IT making these decisions in isolation. This year, a focus of the technology committee will be to address artificial intelligence and provide guidance around responsible use, privacy, and academic integrity. We have also created a software committee to review our instructional platforms for overlap, cost, privacy, compliance, and instructional value. The goal of this isn't an additional layer of process, and it isn't a new way to say no to things. It's to be intentional about what we bring into the district and confident that we can support it once it's here. And that brings us to where we're going next. On the infrastructure side, the biggest remaining issue is extending the structured cabling improvements at all of our sites. The work we did this summer was limited to our most dire needs, but extensive work still remains. If the voters of this community approve the general obligation bond in November, my recommendation will be replacing the Ethernet cables that run through our buildings should be the top IT priority. In my estimation, this investment will continue to pay dividends for years to come, and we can leverage E-rate funding for up to 50% matching funds. On the security side, our firewall is approaching end of life and will soon need to be replaced. We are in the process of doing due diligence and will likely have a recommendation for this board this school year. With artificial intelligence, we are moving beyond simply talking about it. The next step is turning the work of the technology committee into practical guidance, training, and clear expectations for students and staff. And the most important long-term conversation that we'll need to have is multi-year replacement cycles. We have made significant investments over the past few years. We now need to make sure that we are planning for the eventual replacement of all of these systems that we're bringing in, rather than just waiting until the systems reach end of life and being forced into another large catch-up cycle. That's where the shift that we're trying to make. We're trying to go from reacting to planning. If I were to summarize the last 2 years, I'd say this: we rebuilt the foundation that every department and every school relies on. The next phase is about sustaining that investment, continuing to secure it, and keeping technology decisions connected to what our schools and students actually need. None of this happened within the IT department alone. We've had tremendous partnership from our sites, departments, bargaining units, administration, and this board. I do want to especially recognize the IT team and our excellent partners at MOT. A great deal of work has happened quietly behind the scenes to get us to this point, and they deserve recognition tonight. Thank you. Victoria and I are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you. I'll now open it up for public comment. Seeing there's none, we'll open it up for board discussion, and we'll start with you, Jason.
Thank you. You talked about the multi-year refresh because most of the money was spent in the last 18 months, and it did really the heavy lifting with the servers and getting the IT closets cleaned up and the Wi-Fi. So it seems to me that everything's kind of on a 5-year cycle, and we did the phone system, I think, in the last 18 months too. So
That's correct.
so how do you stagger that so we're not? Because I don't see how the number doesn't go like right at the 5 years again when you get the loss of support. So how can we push that to that we're off? You know, we're doing something every 2 or 3 years versus every 5 years because we just refreshed. Now the clock's ticking for the 5-year investment again.
With respect to staff devices, I think it would be a good idea to begin at year 4 for a couple of reasons. One, it provides a natural staggering point to do this. But two, what we saw was that at year 5, over 70% of teachers said that they were having daily or weekly issues with their devices. I think waiting till year 5, the end of year 5 to make a move puts us in that exact same position again. We can leverage moving, with a percentage of high need devices at year 4, and our ticketing system can help inform that decision. And then moving into year 5 as we traverse the fiscal year, bringing in that second wave of devices into teachers.
But it's still like if we did year 4, so say we could do 20%, which would be a fifth of it. Is there any way to start it a little bit earlier on the refresh so we're truly staggered instead of 1 year off the cycle? Or I'm just not understanding how we can do that.
I would say that beginning at the end of year 3 would be a natural starting point because that is right about where we began to see the major issues arise. If we can do 33% over the course of 3 consecutive years, I think that puts us in a position where we are not facing the cliff like we were this time. With respect to our servers, we anticipate within the next 24 months, so our servers are part of 3 nodes each. So our disaster recovery sites is composed of 3 nodes, as is our data center here at district office. Beginning in the 2027-2028 school year, we are going to begin replacing 1 node each of those servers.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. And then as far as the Victoria mentioned the offsite, do we have that same data offline so that it's not susceptible to ransomware or something like that? Because it seems the ransomware comes out and it's a delayed release. Like your stuff's infected, then all of a sudden hand over $10 million to get it back, or you have nothing.
We do have immutable backups through a vendor that we partner with. Those backups are offsite and offline. They're immutable backups. So it is not possible for one actor to go in and make changes to that data. There is a pretty sophisticated way that folks would need to access the system in order to make changes to affect that data. So yeah, I would say that we do have that in place.
Got it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Rita?
Thank you for the presentation, and you're right. Sometimes IT is like behind the scenes, and we expect it to work all the time. And when something goes wrong, that's when we notice, right? The tech department. So I want to just thank you for your presentation, all the hard work for your team. I have a couple questions. They're just kind of general, and I just remembered when my kids were in school and in the classrooms when the tech was working and not working. How do you get information from the sites that the tech is working, other than I guess tickets that come in? Like what kind of communication goes between the sites and the tech department where you can see it's not working, or there's a problem in certain areas that need I guess addressing?
I would say that the ticketing system is the number one place we get that data, and it's important that there be adequate usage of the ticketing system so that we can see these metrics in real time. Of course, we understand that at times teachers or other school staff have very important days, and they ask our site technician for support, or they pull them in from their office and ask for that support. But what we do ask is for our site technicians to go back and document the issue that occurred, so that we can have visibility into those metrics. Additionally, the reemergence of the tech committee has been very good in that respect. we get some data from folks that are experiencing our tech in different ways. We have different roles within the technology committee, and they're able to provide us with feedback or perspective on what our tech is looking like at their campuses.
Okay.
One of the frequent comments that we get is the performance of Wi-Fi at specifically at Carmel High School.
Yeah.
And I can point directly to that structured cabling work that urgently needs to be done at Carmel High School, but at every other site as well. Essentially, we are operating at 1% capacity until those cables are replaced. Most of those cables are several decades out of date. And this is invisible work that's going to happen in walls and attics that is vital to the performance of the systems that we are bringing online.
Okay. So the Wi-Fi issues at Carmel High School are due to cables, not tower, like a AT&T tower?
Oh,
or
so that is cell phone issues. It continues to be an issue
Okay.
in the community. But with respect to Wi-Fi, it's the ability to utilize a wireless device like the iPad that you
Yeah.
have, or this laptop that I'm utilizing. Our ability to connect to our network right here. So if the cable that runs to this access point is out of date and should be
Okay.
replaced, this access point will not function to the upper limits of its capacity.
Got it. So if a teacher at the high school needs to, because we use a lot of tech now, right? I mean, they want kids to look at things on the internet. If they can't load it, it's due to the cables not being able to connect to the Wi-Fi.
It could be for a variety of reasons, but I would say that is the one that is most easy to remedy, not from a financial perspective, but it's an easily identifiable cause. If the cable running to our access points is several decades old, it will not be functioning to the capacity of our modern equipment.
Okay. Now, I know a lot of people are not fans of this, but I like surveys as informational tools. I mean, you get positive things and critical things in surveys. Do we do surveys with sites on how things are going as far as tech goes? Or is it just you take all the information based on tickets?
I would say that during our last teacher device refresh, we did conduct a survey, not only of teachers, but of other staff as well, and we were able to collect pretty solid information, indicating that we knew we were approaching the end of our replacement cycle. The data that we received confirmed it. And to Jason's point earlier, it indicated that perhaps we may need to initiate the replacement cycles sooner than the 5-year marks that we had originally budgeted for in 2019.
Okay. Just a couple questions during the presentation. Could you repeat the 3-2-1
Yes.
thing? Okay.
Okay, so the 3-2-1 backup strategy that aligns with cybersecurity frameworks such as CIS controls and NIST standards indicates that it is the best practice to have at least 3 different copies of your backups. So that means backups that you can restore your systems from in case of a failure, an attack, any kind of incident like that.
Yeah.
It indicates that you should have 2 different types of backups.
Okay.
So that means, for example, having backups on premise means that the backups are locally saved on hardware that is on campus.
On campus. Okay. And
another-
these are fire protected, like just earthquake, fire, just
So in the case
areas?
of fire, flood, any kind of physical damage, that's what the disaster recovery site is for.
Okay.
And that is slightly different. That uses replication rather than a backup strategy, but it does provide another copy of our
Okay.
systems.
Okay.
So the 2 means 2 different types. So on-premise would be one
On-premise.
type, in the cloud would be another type. And then the one for the 3-2-1 means at least one of those copies needs to be off-site.
Off-site. Okay. I got it. You had mentioned there's more wireless access points. Where are they?
Right here. This is an example of one of them. So this is what provides wireless access to this room.
Okay.
So folks that are on district devices or are utilizing our Bring Your Own Device network are connected to this access point, and that's the method
Okay.
that they are receiving network and internet access from.
And we have those devices at all sites?
Yes, that was a recent E-rate project that was approved by the board, and we did deploy them, when was it? In April?
Last summer.
Last summer?
That was the wireless refresh project. We got a new wireless controller and all new wireless access points, which are capable up to Wi-Fi 6.
Okay. 5, 6. All right, 2 last questions.
Sure.
Esports network. could you tell me a little bit more about that? I know the huddle because I was excited about that. Where was the eSports Network? What is that?
So we've seen an increase in requests for the ability to, for example, at Carmel Middle School, they have a new class called Game Theory. And in that class, they're interested in utilizing devices on the network to teach game theory. So in that class, they have several Nintendo Switches, they have a Minecraft server, and while our servers and our core network infrastructure is on one part of the network, what we've done is we've made a safe, segmented part of the network that those devices for esports can function on, but not necessarily endanger any of our core systems.
Oh, got it.
So it is a parallel network that we've built this summer for them. Now, there are only a few use cases right now. At the high school, there is a robotics lab, and here at the middle school, as I mentioned, there's game theory, and there
Which
is
is part of their wheel, right? Is that, no, is that like a full class? Elective, oh, cool.
So we are what we're seeing is that in the state of California, one of the largest growing sports is actually esports. It's now CIF recognized, and in the event that Carmel Unified School District decides to go in that way in the future, we'll be ready.
We'll be okay, perfect. And then my last question is, you mentioned a tech committee, software committee. How do you recruit for those committees? Who's on them?
Well, for the technology committee, we submitted a request for applicants last school year. So we submitted requests from parents and staff members, teachers. So we compiled a list of folks an interest list, and then we contacted those folks and invited them to participate. So we are planning on whoever was on the committee last year to, we're going to offer to continue, but we would also like to open it up for recruitment once again.
Okay.
As far as the software committee goes, there have been some rotating members of that committee, but that typically has consisted of, in the past, of a member or members of the IT department, business services, and educational services.
Okay. Okay. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. I do not have any questions. They were all answered by all of the great discussion that we just had. So I'll pass it off to you, Jasmine, for any additional questions you might have. Oh, sorry. Got so excited. Go ahead, Jake.
Just one question. Rita asked, Trustee Patel asked one of my questions already. But you mentioned AI. Is the technology committee that you're talking about here, is that the venue where the district is discussing AI and how to implement AI and use AI safely and responsibly?
There are different facets to engaging with artificial intelligence. On one side, there is the data privacy component and deciding which vendor or vendors would make the cut for consideration for use within Carmel Unified School District. An additional concern surrounding AI specifically has been around academic dishonesty, and whether the existing academic dishonesty board policy, how that intersects with artificial intelligence used in classrooms by both students and teachers. So in that respect, it would be a valuable venue to collect feedback from parents, students, and staff members, both on the certificated and classified side, to inform upward in the chain of command as these discussions are taking place.
So that venue is this technology committee?
Yes, for at least part of the discussion. But this is a multifaceted conversation that deals with board policy, as well as data privacy considerations, as well as professional development once something is chosen down the line, or multiple things are chosen down the line. This will be one of several vectors where that information is being received.
And then on that technology committee, there's representation for both classified staff as well as certificated staff that represent both of their associations, correct?
There are classified staff members and there are certificated staff members. Whether they represent their associations, I'm not sure I would put it that way, but they are there and they are able to contribute their associations' perspectives and feed information back into their respective associations as discussions arise.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, Jasmine.
Yeah, I had most of my questions answered. I was also wondering for the AI part, it says there will be training and clear expectations for staff and students. I was wondering what that would look like for students.
I think for students, it would be all about introducing platforms that are either, communication about platforms that are either safe or not safe to use, communicating district expectations regarding the responsible use of artificial intelligence. And there will be some board policy and some policy in general at school sites that will be developed as we approach this issue. Student voice is something that I think should be included as part of that process. But I do believe that there's going to be a lot of two-way communication with respect to how we are engaging with students and artificial intelligence.
All right, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 4C. This is the CUSD Staffing and Employee Wellness presentation with Chief Human Resources Officer Craig Chavez.
Turn this back on. So good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share information related to two areas of the district strategic plan. They are Objective 4.3, Aligned Staffing, and 2.6, Wellness Support Offerings. The first area, in terms of aligned staffing, the strategic plan objective states assessing staffing needs to align with instructional programs, priorities, and changing enrollment. This means that we must evaluate staffing to support instructional programs, ensure operations, administrative and technological support structures are optimized, and monitor demographic trends and shifts. I believe we're okay. In an effort to align support to instruction, CUSD develops staffing target ratios for classroom settings. They vary by grade level, and they are targets. They provide guidance to staffing based upon student enrollment in school and in classes or programs. As you can see in the center of this slide, for the 26-27 school year, based upon spring projected enrollments and staffing projections, Carmel River, Tularcitos, and Captain Cooper all fell below the elementary school-wide target of one teacher for every 21 to 22 students. For child development, when CSPP funds, California State Preschool Program funds, are received, the ratios are followed. However, we do not receive CSPP funds for infants and ages 2-3. As a result, there is a 1-to-4 ratio for infants 0 to 24 months, and a 1-to-6 is a target for 2 to 3-year-olds. This follows community care licensing regulations under Title 12. And the chart shares the information around the ratios at the various levels. Secondary staffing ratios are more broad, but as you can see, there is consideration given for instructional program differences such as available equipment and space. So next steps in the development of Objective 4.3 includes developing a set of right-sizing staffing models which fold into standardized staffing plan templates for use by sites and programs, creating actionable staffing decisions. Staffing for 25-26 included a total of 414.64 full-time equivalents, or FTE. This chart shows the breakdown of staffing by employee type: certificated, classified, and administration. Please note that FTEs are not equivalent to the number of staff members. Some positions are part-time and some are full-time. These numbers reflect the total of all full-time and part-time positions in the district. This slide shows certificated staffing with greater detail, with 88.3% of certificated staff serving as classroom teachers, including those who work with our youngest students. So that total includes the first two groups, teachers and child development teachers. The district's classified staffing reflects 7 job families or positions similar in nature of work provided to students and the district. Although all district positions support the success of students As you can see here, nearly half of the classified staff in the district supports students directly. That is in the first group, student support. Finally, the district's administrative staffing can be broken down into two categories of certificated and classified administrators. The main difference is that certificated administrators must possess two credentials with the state of California, a base credential and an administrative services credential. This by no means reflects less qualifications from our classified administrators, most of which possess advanced degrees in their fields of expertise. For wellness and supports, the strategic plan, Objective 2.6 states, assess and communicate wellness supports offerings for staff. Our first step in the work was to create a framework for the wellness support offerings and assess which categories each of the district's offerings fell into. These 6 categories cover the gamut of options which are or could be offered by and facilitated by the district. The district recently revived the wellness fair at our Welcome Back breakfast, which anecdotally was a success. Time was provided for staff to engage with 8 providers in the areas of financial and physical wellness. Access was provided to ask questions and schedule appointments, along with receiving information from those providers. And those are listed on the right-hand side there. Our next steps in the development of Objective 2.3 will include expanding offerings in the areas of social and community wellness in an effort to strengthen opportunities for staff connections. We will also embark on gathering data. The district will be working to identify a tool which will help gather data related to the employee experience across the 6 categories of wellness. I want to close by again thanking you for the time to share information related to 2 important areas of the strategic plan, knowing that one of our goals is building a sustainable and supported high-performing workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Is there any public comment? Seeing that there's no public comment, I will open it up now for board discussion, starting with Rita.
Thank you, Craig, for this presentation. I've always been a huge supporter of wellness for students and staff, and it's nice to see it in a presentation. And also the target ratios for students, and to see it laid out is nice, because as a board member, we'll hear things through the community, and it's kind of tough to understand what's really happening in the classroom because we're at the board level. So this presentation is really helpful for that. I appreciate that. And also, even with the staffing, to see what the breakdown is for certificated, classified, and even administration, because sometimes we do hear that at the DO, it could be, there's a lot of staff at the DO now, and so I don't know unless I get a presentation or I ask questions, right? So this was very helpful. I don't really have too many questions. I'm happy that we're supporting staff with wellness, and I hope, sounds like we have good communication between staff and the district office, so hopefully the communication stays open in what their needs are, and what they need and would like to have. And then at the end you mentioned something about a tool. What type of tool?
So,
Are
as
you
you said, you
thinking,
like
or-
surveys.
Yeah.
It actually would be something that we would utilize annually to assess the 6 different areas
Okay.
and to gather feedback from staff members in regards to what's being offered by the district in those particular areas, what enhancements might come about, and really use
Okay.
it as a resource for that kind of two-way
Very good.
communication.
Okay. I'm always supportive of just open, transparent communication, open lines, and so we can serve best everyone in the district. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
thank
that's
you.
it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rita. Jake?
Thank you, Craig. I just wanted to talk about the target ratios in the child develop. I don't know if you want to go back to
I
that
can.
slide, but the child development box has max ratios, and I'm sure you explained this, but I just didn't catch it. But there's it's just confusing. There's a grades K through 5 with a 1 to 15 max ratio, but then for our CUSD elementary target ratios for K1, 1 to 20, 2 to 3, 1 to 22. So what's the difference between this grades K through 5 and that
the other
column
one.
over there and the grades K through 5 in this column over here?
Thank you. That's a great question. In regards to child development programs, and I know that we have Jeannie here, so if I misspeak, she can clarify for me, but the K to 5 reflects the ratios for the programs related to child development, so before and after care. The other side of the chart on the left-hand side reflects the classroom staffing, so during the instructional day.
So I'm gonna go, that makes sense. So if I go over, so CUSD elementary target ratios, but then our school-wide target. So is there our school-wide target is a ratio of 21 to 22 students per teacher.
Correct.
So, but for like grades 4 or 5, our ideal is 1 to 24. So if I'm over, so what happens if I'm over the school-wide target, but I'm under this ideal?
So we actually have to look to see where that school-wide target is actually being impacted. It could be a larger grade level, for example. First grade could be larger, and so that might be pushing up that ratio at a school-wide basis, although the 4-5 or fourth grade ratio might be under that or might be at the ideal. So taking a look at those numbers with the principals and determining how the staffing adjustments need to happen in order to go ahead and better reflect that. Typically, if the school-wide ratio is higher, then we would take a look at whether or not an additional staff position is needed at that particular campus. An example of that this past year, as we were planning for this school year, there were 2 additional positions, classroom positions, added at Tularcitos, and River School was reduced by 1 position, and that was just managing based on the numbers of students that were at each campus in each grade level.
So with all of that work, the staffing projections for the 2026-27 year, which is what we're starting now,
correct,
it looks like for Carmel River and Tularcitos, 1 to 19.
That was when we took a look at the very end of the spring, looking forward. So what we're doing now is who actually shows up, checking the enrollments, because we do have students who leave, we do have new students who enroll. So we'll be checking those during the course of this first month typically, and having conversations with our principals in regards to whether or not anything needs to be considered or looked at. An example of that was Tularcitos is seeing quite a few individuals coming in the early grades, so kinder, TK areas, and so we'll be monitoring those to make determinations about how to address that. But that happens every year.
So then it's going to continue to be evaluated as we go through this school year?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. Jason?
I have no questions or comments. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just had one comment. I just want to thank you, Craig, for this presentation. I was mentioning to Sharon, this is the first time in my tenure here that we've seen a presentation like this, especially the cumulative information of the target ratios and then also combined with the wellness information and data. So thank you for providing this. I think it's a really good check and balance also to have this presentation for our community, right? I think there is confusion about what goes into class sizing and how often it's monitored and what goes into balancing and maintaining it. So I appreciate the level of detail, and the questions that were asked were really great and informative, because I think a lot of people just don't know what they don't know, right? Because they, think, oh, my class is gonna have 24 kids, and they don't realize that there is balancing, and we are watching what's going on with grade levels and moving things around. So I do appreciate the level of detail that you provided this evening.
Thank you.
Jasmine?
I also don't have any questions or comments, but thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. All right, we will move on to agenda item 4D. This is our 2026-2027 enacted state budget review and 45-day report with Chief Business Official Yvonne Perez.
Good evening. This item is our 26-27 enacted state budget review, also called the 45-day report. The governor signed the state budget on June 29th, and Ed Code gives us 45 days from that signature to make any resulting budget impacts available for public review. So that's the purpose of this presentation. This report is informational, and I'll walk through the different parts of it. Got turned off. So I want to start with why you're seeing this report at all this year, because we don't do this every year. As a basic aid district, in some years, the state budget doesn't move our numbers enough to warrant a presentation to the board. So I think the last couple of years, you haven't had a 45-day report. But this year is different for 3 reasons. First, the enacted budget carries some increases in a few categorical programs that I'll cover in some other slides, plus new one-time funding that benefit us. Second, it brings new ongoing cost pressures, specifically paid pregnancy, disability leave, and a new sales tax on software that we will have to absorb. Third, everything here is still an estimate. These figures are not yet, the allocations or appropriations are not yet posted, and so as those become available, we will update our budget, and you will see the result of that in the first interim report. So the good news first, 3 programs see increases. The Student Support and Professional Development Block Grant is the largest, and it had an increase of about 1.26 million, bringing us to roughly 1.9 million of that allocation. In the previous fiscal year, it was around 600 and some thousand, and I do have the difference there, 638,000 being increased to 1.8. And it is used for what the title is. It's for student support and professional development. It's not highly restricted at all. It's pretty wide open. And last year we had determined that we would target those funds for professional development that would support our strategic plan. And I don't believe that will change significantly. They also changed it to it is available to be spent. It was previously to 2030. Now with the increase in funding, they've increased that to 2032. The second one is the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, and this goes up about $87,000 and is available through 2028, and it's also one-time funding. And it is very much the way that it reads. This was funding that was given to schools about 3 years ago, and all of the schools budgeted for it, and then the state said, and this rarely happens, but it did happen that year. They said, oops, in the May revise, we're taking a portion of that back, but they committed to eventually giving it back to the schools. So it did cause a little bit of chaos, I think, for schools at that time. So this is their attempt to restore that funding that was taken away at that time. And special education is the third one under AB 602. This increases our funding. This is a really welcome news, about $840,000. As you've heard in many of my presentations, the amount that we provide for special education students that qualify for special education continually increases, and so this funding will help offset some of that contribution that we have to give from the general fund. So I'll just go back to that once again. I'll emphasize that these are estimates based on the overall state budget, and appropriations have not yet been received. So now the pressures. There are 2 new mandates that take effect on January 1st, 2027. First is the paid pregnancy disability leave. The state will require up to 14 weeks of paid leave for eligible employees, and it is funded statewide through a 1.44% enhancement to the LCFF COLA. So the COLA is around 2.4%, and they're adding this on top of that COLA to fund this mandate. Because we are a basic aid district, we do not receive funding through that mechanism. We still have to calculate the LCFF funding. Every district is an LCFF funded district, but we will not receive that funding because of our basic aid status. So we will have a second
unfunded mandate that we have to cover with our own resources. The other one that you've heard me talk about is transitional kindergarten and how that has been increased over the years. So we absorbed the full cost. And the second one is that California, and this is a very interesting one, will begin taxing most software as a service subscription. And we spend, you heard a presentation earlier, we spend approximately $1.34 million on this type of software. And this one flew through the radar very quietly. When we heard about it, we were like, what's going on? How come we haven't heard from any of our lobbyists, our advising companies that advise us on these type of things? And I actually asked the question. They said it really was last second, flew through, and there wasn't much time to do anything about it. But essentially, it's taking. They give us Prop 98 money, which is the funding source for schools, and gross receipts tax, which this will do. It's going to add gross receipts tax to software that we didn't pay gross receipts tax on before. And gross receipts tax is one of the funding mechanisms for Prop 98. So they give us, and now they're going to take some of it away. And so it's an interesting perspective. I have heard some conversation around it. I think there will be some lobbying on this. We'll see if it makes any difference. I think it will be a plus to the state coffers, but I believe it's also on the back of schools. So this also is an unfunded new obligation that we'll have to cover. And so this would be gross receipts tax of 8.75% or so in our county, would result in $117,000 every year. Unless we reduced how much we're spending on software, that amount would vary. It'd go up and down. It doesn't go into effect until January of 2027, and all of the regulations with this are not yet clear. So we'll continue to monitor that. So to bring it together, the enacted budget does not materially change our long-term financial outlook. There are some really great things that were here that I'd covered. Our stability still rests where it always has on local property tax growth, enrollment trends, negotiated compensation and benefits, pension obligations, and prudent reserve management, which I always am proud to say that I think our board is fiscally responsible, and our board policy reflects that. So we'll continue to refine this as the information becomes available and update the board accordingly. And with that, I can stand for questions.
Thank you, Yvonne. Are there any questions on this agenda item? There are not. With that said, we'll take it back to you, Jake.
I don't have any questions or comments. Thank you.
Hi, Yvonne. The one question I have you done any projections on what the benefit of adding a 14-week maternity leave, the cost of that would be? I know it's different every year, but.
Yeah, and
okay.
it's up to the 14 weeks, and I have not done those calculations.
Okay.
And it varies. It depends on who qualifies for that.
Yeah, I know. It would vary widely. I was just curious about like what we would have ended up over the couple of years, because in my head, 14 weeks is 3 months. If you have a few of them, it's maybe another 100 or 200,000 annually.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, thanks.
Yeah, it is something that I would like to put pen to paper on. Haven't done it yet, though.
Yep.
Rita?
Yeah, actually, that was one of the questions I was going to ask, the cost of that, and also does it include, I guess, fathers?
It is not. It is for, well, it is for a delivering person.
Okay.
And that's what it covers, yeah.
Okay. And then just, no real questions. It was a good presentation. I like the layout, and I like all the math was done for us. But one quick question that's a big increase, estimated increase of 1.2 for the student support and professional development block grants.
Right.
What can that go to that would have meaningful, I guess, impact for our district?
Mm-hmm. So it is a very flexible funding source. And with the amount, I think we have to have some conversation. So it is very flexible, but with the work that we are working on actively in terms of supporting student programs and student support, and aligning all of those activities, we really have talked a lot about it would continue to support professional development that will provide the most impact to our students in their learning.
Okay. And once again, because I'm always want feedback from everyone, I over communicate. I think to my probably negative. Do you get input from students what they need, or I guess teachers or staff for what kind of professional development they want, so we can better spend this money, I guess?
Right, so this is Mary Petty's area in
Okay.
terms of professional development for certificated staff. And so I believe that she does get input on that and is always collaborating, trying to determine what is needed.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Yvonne. Did
Thank
you
you.
want to make a comment?
Oh,
before
I just
make
wanted
mine?
to share one thing that it's written in the slide, but I want to just highlight it, which is these funds are one-time funds, and that does change how you should spend them.
Right.
Because one-time funds are not ongoing, and there's a big difference in your fiduciary responsibility as a board to consider those kinds of things and how what those dollars are used on, because one time again has a really different implication than ongoing.
And then when do we get those funds?
So we wait for the appropriation.
Okay.
The first appropriation on this student support and development block grant came in last year. It was fully received. We didn't spend it all, and so it retains in that resource.
And is there a timeline on how long we can retain
Yes,
it?
so we have until 2032.
32
It was
on
increased
the-
by 2
yeah.
years.
Okay.
Mhm.
But I think you're asking when the state is going to tell us what our final number is, because it was shared as an estimate, and it just depends on when they decide to release that information, and then they send an email and they're like, click on this spreadsheet and you'll
Right.
find your allocation or appropriation.
She's
But it
exactly
sounds like
right.
we have like 5 years or 7 years to use it.
Mhm,
if
that's
approached.
correct.
Okay.
We don't know the exact amount yet.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
I'll just, Yvonne. Sorry, Yvonne. And Jasmine hasn't we're not done with you yet.
I thought you were. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just want to make a quick comment. As you opened the presentation with the fact that we don't normally see a 45-day presentation from you like this, I just wanted to thank you for the information and also the transparency into the budget prior to the first interim, because that's when we're used to seeing you and hearing from you on a lot of these different things. So I do appreciate the 45-day report here and all the information that you provided. I think it was very insightful. And with that, we'll pass it to Jasmine.
Thank you for your presentation. I was just wondering, with the funding increases, if we're going to see any changes on campus, or if we don't know that yet.
Right. So the funding that you saw here in the as Ms. Ofick pointed out is one-time funding, and it must be used on one-time purposes. So the student support and professional development block grant, it is still under discussion on how we will use that. I know what we determined, we would use that lower amount of money last year, that we were targeting it for professional development for teachers for the most part. It can also be used for classified staff. And so will you see any differences on campus? That's still to be determined. The Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, which was $80-some thousand, that is definitely very restricted and has defined activities that money can be used for. And it is to support students that are having learning struggles.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now you can go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have agenda item 5. These are our information items. The following items are presented to the governing board as items for information purposes only. These items do not require board discussion or action. 5A is our quarterly report on Williams uniform complaints. Is there any public comment? Nope. Moving on to public comment on non-agendized items. This is agenda item 6. Public comment on non-agenda items. Members of the public may address the board regarding items or topics within the board's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda at this time. And seeing that we've received no public comment this evening, we'll move on to the superintendent's informal report, which we don't have either. So we're just going to keep going here. We'll go on to board committee reports. So this is agenda item 8. These are routine committee updates from our CUSD Board of Education, board representatives for Community Human Services, Mission Trails Regional Occupation Executive Board, and the Monterey County School Board Association Executive Council Legislative Representative Liaison. Mouthful. We will start with the Mission Trails Regional Occupation Executive Board Representative, Mr. Jake Odello.
We have not met. Our next meeting is in September.
Okay.
So I have no other comment.
We look forward to hearing from you then on this. Next, we'll hear from Rita, who is on both the board for Community Human Services and also the Monterey County School Board Association Executive Council. Blah, blah. We just, yeah.
Okay. So for CHS, we had an election, and we have a new chair now, Dr. Betty Lusk from Monterey School Board, and Jeff Barron, who's city council member for Carmel by the Sea. And then a couple weeks ago, we had a luncheon, a meeting, and before the luncheon, and that was well attended by community members to learn more about the organization and how to support it. And as far as the Monterey School Boards Association, we're going to have our first meeting next Monday. So I'll report back next time. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. Agenda item 9, closed session. Before adjourning to closed session, I will identify the closed session items and provide an opportunity for public comment on these items. Closed session agenda item 9A, public employee discipline dismissal release pursuant to Government Code 54957, subdivision B1. 9B, conference with labor negotiator pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, agency designated representative Craig Chavez, employee organizations CSCA, ACT, and non-represented groups. 9C, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code 54956.8, property 46495, Highway 1, Big Sur, County of Monterey, APN 15902100800, agency negotiator, superintendent, chief business official, chief operations officer Jessica K. Johnson, Dennis Walliver Kelly. Negotiating parties are Carmel Unified School District and Fernwood Resort LLC, under negotiation, price and terms of payment. Closed session 9D, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, subdivision D1, Monterey County Superior Court case number 25CV004744, Jose Alvarez versus John Richard et al. Now I'd like to open it for public comment, but seeing there is none, we are going to adjourn into closed session at 7:09 p.m. And I thank all of you for joining us this evening. We appreciate your time. Coming out of closed session, the board reports the following. We are reconvening into open session at 8:39 p.m. For item 10A, the board received an update from district staff. For item 10B, the board received an update from district staff and provided direction. For item 10C, the board received an update from district staff, met with legal counsel, and provided direction. For item 10D, the board received an update and provided direction on the case referenced on the agenda. I adjourn this meeting at 8:39 p.m.